Hey everyone, this is Linda from brewnymph.com coming at you with another edition of Let's Get a Beer, Florida. Now today, as you can see, I'm at Atlantic Beach Brewing Company in Atlantic Beach, just north of Jacksonville, and I'm here for a couple of reasons. One, I really like this Bonfire Beach Brown Ale, one of my favorites here at the brewery. But as you might know, there are a few bottle releases and can releases and new releases going on around the Jax area this weekend. And one of those places is right here at Atlantic Beach Brewing, where they will be releasing a Belgian quad called Sinterklaas. Very seasonal, very appropriate. We'll be talking about all these releases today, but I wanted to talk about this one first since we're here, and we're actually going to have a special guest here tell us a little bit about this beer and some other things going on here at the brewery. So Rory, come on in. All right, we've got Rory, the operations manager and the brewmaster here at Atlantic Beach Brewing, going to tell us a little bit about this particular beer and some other stuff. So Rory, tell us a little bit about Sinterklaas. What's this beer all about?
It's a Belgian quad, comes in at 9.6%, done with sour cherries, local Florida organic honey. And your typical quad grain bill and a Abbey yeast strain. Sinterklaas itself is the Danish Santa, if you remember Miracle on 34th Street.
We were just talking about that. I remember the little girl, and she jumps on Santa's lap, and they start singing Sinterklaas. So that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this.
It's an afterthought now, but it is definitely on my radar as something to check into. I just like that Sinterklaas is kind of like the OG Santa. If you look,
there you go.
All of our modern day deities and local lore nowadays all came from this guy.
Very cool. So now he's got a beer after him too. That's just awesome. Now, being a quad, it's 9.6%, and quads can sometimes be a little dangerous because they're very rich, they're very smooth, malty, sweet. So this is a cherry chocolate quad, right?
It is.
So how do those flavors fit in with the typical quad flavors?
You did hit all of the notes, the sweet, the malty, the rich. Mostly you get the standard quad flavors, the stone fruits, the raisins and plums and prunes. This one has a large capping of sour cherries and local honey. Mead quality, some good tartness, with your standard Belgian quad notes.
Oh, that sounds
quite nice.
That sounds amazing. That sounds great. A little different than what you might be used to with just a quote regular type quad. Definitely something different. The sour cherries really lead some neat notes to it. If you're into sours, you'll start picking up some Brett characteristics from the sour cherries, cherry pie stuff. Cool.
Without actually being sour. So.
Okay, that's great. And these bottles will be released on Saturday, December 16th at noon?
At noon, yes. They are also being released today to our Mug Club members who get first shot at it. Any of our bottle releases, Mug Club gets them the day before. Now,
this is your second bottle release. The first one was in November. That was the Cafecito de Cuba, which I thought was amazing. I love that beer. So how did you decide to do a quad for the second one?
A quad. I've been brewing quads for Christmas for a good long time. I've done many different versions. For some reason, Christmas quad just makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. And naming it after the guy, that sounds great. And do you bottle that right here?
We did, and we just finished bottling the last of it minutes ago.
Oh, so it's very, very fresh. You guys are going to be getting a fresh, awesome beer when you get this bottle. Pilot Batch Wednesdays, let's change gears a little bit. You guys have been doing Pilot Batch Wednesdays, mostly starting off with some sours and Berliners. How's that been going since you started it?
It's been doing really well. It's been received quite well. We did start off with sours and Berliners out of necessity to accommodate the Sour Festival at
Right, and that was last Saturday. If you guys saw on brewniff.com, I got a recap on that. It was a little chilly out there, so anyway, sorry, but yeah, for the fest, you started them.
But we did sours, which kind of led to people thinking we were only going to do sours for One Off Wednesday. We're not. We are going to keep sours in the loop.
There you go.
We are doing the Wednesday this week is a hopped up wheat beer.
There you go. Awesome. Very good. So those are every Wednesday you'll be doing those?
Every Wednesday we release a limited quantity to the tap room. They've been making it a little bit beyond the weekend, but they're pretty much gone by next Wednesday.
So being a pilot batch, can you tell us a little bit about your pilot system here?
We have a 1 barrel pilot with the capabilities of doing half barrels at a time or 1 barrels. We have fermentation ability for up to 2 barrels off the pilot. Most of those are 1 barrels for now. If One Off Wednesday does really get legs behind it, we'll start doing 2 barrels, but right now it's been about a barrel.
Nice, okay. Do you have any more bottle releases coming up that you can dish anything on, or you're just going to make us all wait and just wait and see?
I was waiting for that one. I do have at least 1 more bottle release coming up, probably in February.
Okay, that was the next question.
Probably something in the Valentine's Day theme, maybe something velvety and red.
Maybe. Was that a hint? We'll have to see.
Maybe some more chocolate, maybe some more vanilla.
Oh, you can't go wrong with any of that around Valentine's Day. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying the quad, and it sounds great. Very seasonal, very festive. So great selection, I think, on that beer.
Thank you.
So hey, thanks for taking some time out to talk to me. And now you can get back to work now.
Thank you.
Well, hey, thanks to Rory for stopping by. Was that cool or what? So guys, the Sinterklaas will be releasing, like we said, on Saturday the 16th. This is being recorded, by the way, on Friday the 15th here at Atlantic Beach Brewing. So something else to look forward to from these guys. And those Pilot Batch Wednesdays really seem to be taking off for them as well. All right, we have a lot of things to talk about. I mentioned some other bottle releases. We'll be talking about those in a second. First of all, let's recap just a bit. Last week, we were talking about that barrel-aged sour and cider fest from the Florida Brewers Guild. Well, here's the shirt. If you were a VIP, you got one of these shirts at the fest last Saturday. And as I mentioned, I have a story about the fest on brewniff.com. It was a little chilly. People were in knit hats, and I had gloves on. I had earmuffs on. But it was a great fest, a great time. I am not one who's done a lot of barrel-aged. Berliners I like, and that's mostly what I focused on the fest was Berliners. Had a bunch of those, very fruity, flavorful, lots of pretty colors there too. The first one was from Old Coast Ales, a watermelon hibiscus goza, made for a great picture. And then I did transition into a few barrel-aged beers, so read the story and see those. If you are not used to those styles, this was a great fest to get acclimated, no weather pun intended, with these styles. And I actually learned a lot and drank some new beers that ordinarily maybe I wouldn't have. So good job, Florida Brewers Guild. Chilly, no chilly, I think everybody had a great time there. News this week, we have some news to report. This was just breaking. Okay, hopheads, you guys might want to get ready for this. Eric Lumen, owner over at Green Room Brewing, announced that he will be opening a new brewery in Atlantic Beach called Rêve Brewing, which means dream in French. And that will be coming in the spring of 2018, so look for that. I also have an interview story with Eric on brewnymph.com, so take a look at that. Got a little bit of background into what this tap room may look like. So check out the story on that for a little bit more insights there. We also got word through other news media of a new brewery coming to the Jax area in the Brooklyn area in an old church. So stay on the lookout for that, and that'll be coming sometime maybe in 2018, depends on renovation and construction. In other news, Brewers Association announced this week its year in review stats, and there are over 6,000 breweries now in the US. So if you're traveling around, you're probably going to be able to find one somewhere. And I want to make a mention of my brewery map on brewnymph.com from Jax down to West Palm. I just added a new one on there today. And congratulations to a couple of friends that I've known for a while there. Matthews Brewing in Lake Worth, just outside of West Palm, is opening today, December 15th. Congratulations to you guys down there. And yeah, I'm going to be heading your way pretty soon to check this out. So that's a little bit on the brewery map. Also, coming soon, possibly next week, will be West Palm Brewery and Wine Vault in West Palm Beach. And this one will also have an entire wine collection there. So they were going through some inspections, and they should be announcing their opening date very, very soon. It could be next week. We're also looking out for Steam Horse Brewing in the West Palm area, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming on board probably in the spring of 2018. And this just in, around the Orlando area, Wolf Branch Brewing in Eustis in Central Florida, a little bit northwest of Orlando, has its soft opening on Saturday, December 16th, with a grand opening planned sometime in January. That date will be announced. So Central Florida, Orlando folks, you guys got another one coming on. And I'm also hearing some very positive comments about Ellipsis Brewing in the Orlando area. Apparently they've got some pretty good IPAs going on over there. So another place to check out, okay, if you're in the area. All right, we are now going to move on to some other events. We were talking about these bottle releases around the Jacksonville area. So we do have, let's get into those. I also wrote a story on brewnymph.com, and last week I was at Bog Brewing, where they will be releasing a bottle of a barrel-aged triple, also on Saturday the 16th. They had that beer at the Barrel Aged Fest in Jax last week as well. So if you're around the St. Augustine area or want to make the trip down there, go ahead and check out Bog for that bottle release. And if you are going to St. Augustine, don't forget about Nights of Pints going on through January 31st with Nights of Lights. There's a story on brewnymph.com about that. And yes, my punch card is done. We talked about that before. Get your shirt, get your card, get a beer at each one, okay? So a little bit more about that. Also, getting back to the can and beer releases in Jax area, Southern Swells will be releasing 3 cans on December 16th. Those will be an Imperial Karate in the Garage IPA, Livin' the Dreamsicle Orange and Vanilla Milkshake IPA, and Floppy Handshake Pale Ale. So those will be in cans and on tap at Southern Swells. And rounding out the beer releases in Jax, we have Ardwolf Brewing on Sunday with 3 releases of Tio de Nadal, hopefully I said that right, brandy, bourbon, and port barrels. That's an Imperial Stout. That'll be on Sunday afternoon at Ardwolf. And we already talked about Atlantic Beach Brewing doing their Sinterklaas on Saturday the 16th. So if you're around Jax Beach area, be sure to pick that up as well. Okay, we are going to move on, going through some highlights of some events around Florida and around Jax. Now guys, I have 2 pages of beer events on brewnymph.com. One is a local calendar, which has a lot of the Jax area happenings, tappings. The other one is a separate page, Beer Fest, anniversaries, special beer events all around the state. So check these out. It's all there. You can scroll through it, like I like to say, scroll baby scroll. Scroll through those events, plan ahead, get your tickets. Beer Fest season coming up, right? 'Tis the season. Get those Beer Fest tickets. We'll be talking about that as well. And I've also been telling you guys a little bit about the Beer Fest coming up and when the tickets are on sale. So we'll talk about that again at the end. There are toy drives, pet supply drives, clothing drives, all these things going on for the holidays. I have some of those listed on the calendar, so take a look at those. One I do want to mention, there is a guy in the Ponte Vedra Beach area here in Jax. He calls himself the Jax Beer Dude. And if you take a look at his Instagram page, he will be raffling off over 27 bottles from his collection of some rare and seasonal beers. He's raising money for the Jacksonville Toys for Tots. So he has a link on his Instagram site. You can pay via PayPal and then send him an email with your name so that he can have that ready for his drawing, which will be on December 21st. Very cool idea there. And I think he just added to that collection too. So let's get into some of these beer events happening. Like I said, this is Friday, December 15th. We're looking through the week and through December. So just running down a few, we've got a winter flight release at Hyperion Brewing in Jax. Some of those beers will probably be on for a couple more days at least. So if you're around the Springfield area, check out the winter flights. So now we'll get into some events. We've got things going on around the state. On Saturday, December 16th, Saltwater Brewery down in Delray with its anniversary. Love those guys, love Delray, love Saltwater. I went to the anniversary a couple years ago. There's a recap story. Check it out on brewniff.com, and congratulations to those guys. Anytime I go to a beer fest, I always have to catch up with these guys. A couple of my favorites. Although you could tell, I like a lot of the brewers and the breweries around Florida, right? We have another anniversary, Point Ebel in Fort Myers with an anniversary. They'll be doing a Sour Fest and tapping a whole bunch of other beers, sours, otherwise, music, food, the whole bit. So if you're in the Fort Myers area, you want to check that place out. I was there a couple years ago, loved it. And yeah, there's a recap story for that on the brewniff.com site as well. Getting into some local Jax areas, we've got a tacky Christmas sweater party and a new tapping of a peppermint porter at Main and 6th in Jax in the Springfield area. So peppermint porter, that sounds really good. Tacky sweater party. Yeah, have you guys been wearing your sweaters around? I went to Brews and Dogs in St. Augustine the other night for a sweater party. Had a great time. There was even a beer Jesus there with his sweater. I've got a picture of that on the site and also on the social media. So I'm really getting into the holidays. Holiday sweaters, as you might have noticed if you take a look at any of the social media feeds that I do. All right, we have a beer run with LA Fitness at Brews in Atlantic Beach on Saturday the 16th, and Legos and Beers at Really Good Beer Stop in Jax Beach. Sounds like a lot of fun there. We have, I mentioned, the new bottle release at Ardwolf on Sunday, 3 of those. During the week, we've got tappings, tastings, ladies' nights, trivia, all that kind of thing going on. Again, I've printed all of these off from the website, the daily calendar. Look at all these events. So check these out. I'm only going through some highlights here. On Wednesday, the 20th, I mentioned Brews and Dogs in St. Augustine. They'll be having their monthly charity night for the animals, where they do a monthly charity. They benefit that charity, donate some dollars from each beer sold. And this month, on the 20th, they'll be featuring Pinglehead out of Orange Park right here in the Jax area. So you Pinglehead fans, beer with attitude, you'll want to head over to Brews and Dogs. And that monthly charity night is always a blast. You can win some stuff in the raffles, always lots of fun. And some more things going on. Again, look at all of these events on the website. Thursday, December 21st, a new beer tapping at Green Room in Jax Beach will be a milk stout. Also on Thursday the 21st, Engine 15 will be doing a barrel and wood-aged beer extravaganza. So if you didn't get enough barrel-aged at the Barrel-Aged and Cider Fest, head to Engine 15 on the 21st and see what they have in store for you. And that promises to be a really great event with some really good beer there. On Friday, December 22nd, Wicked Barley will be hosting an ugly sweater party, and there's also a VIP ticket you can buy for that, or you can just go there and show up. Now they're going to be tapping all kinds of new holiday type beers. I think there's an eggnog stout, some mint ones, all kinds of things going on. Wear your sweaters, wear your getup. I'm going to be there Friday night, and we'll see what I have on Friday night, but I would expect a lot of fun attire at that party. So that's on Friday the 22nd at Wicked Barley, which, by the way, they came out with that new food menu, and after that tasting I mentioned last week, I did go back and have some of the other food off that menu. Some good stuff there, by the way. Going into Saturday the 23rd, we're heading up into Christmas holiday. We've got Quetzalcoatl Day at Green Room Brewing. He will have the brewery bar open and tapping some variants of the Imperial Mayan Red Ale. So look for that. That's always a fun event. And that beer is so good. Poblano peppers, serrano peppers, chocolate cassava root. And it's an imperial ale, but it drinks really easy. I loved it last year. So that'll be on the 23rd. And one I have to mention down in Melbourne, at Intracoastal Brewing down in Melbourne, they will be doing a holiday party on the 23rd with snow in the beer garden. And I said this last week, anytime there's snow in a beer garden in Florida, it's an event. And of course, I've been down there a few times, and they have that new beer garden there with the covered canopy. It's a great place to go hang out and drink some of the awesome Intra beers. So if you're around Melbourne, check that out. And we also have a Kill the Keg Ugly Sweater Party right here at Atlantic Beach Brewing next Saturday, the 23rd as well. And then we get into Christmas Eve. Couple of things on Christmas Eve. There is a Christmas Eve brunch with Founders CBS at Brews in Atlantic Beach. That will be on Sunday, the 24th. And Green Room will be having a karaoke and potluck, sing some Christmas songs with the family at Green Room on the 24th as well. And we'll be heading into Beer Fest season. Like I mentioned, 'tis the season. I have ticket information on brewnev.com, and January starts that Beer Fest season rolling, and it doesn't stop until April or May. So it's gonna be going on for a long time. Guys, we'll see you next week. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thanks to Rory for stopping by with the Sinterklaas and telling us about that. And we'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. And let's get a beer, Florida.